As you know, global controversy continues when it comes to coronavirus vaccines. The 4 largest countries in Europe have hit pause on the AstraZeneca rollout. I'm joined now by Nationals Senator for Queensland, Matt Canavan. Good to talk to you, Matt. Now, you've been slammed, of course, for daring to suggest that Australia should do exactly what France, Germany and other countries have done. Do you stand by your digs?
Yes, I do, Chris, and I've got thick skin, so that's okay. I'm happy for others to have a different point of view, and I think it's very important that we allow and respect different views in this issue. There are different opinions among medical authorities right now around the world about the AstraZeneca vaccine. I don't think that's any surprise. We have a term in English called second opinion for a reason. Sometimes doctors do have different remedies and consumers have different choices about what they choose to do. And likewise here, there's just a little bit of uncertainty. There'll be some reviews in Europe soon. The AstraZeneca vaccine is still going through the approval processes in the United States. So given the situation here in Australia where we don't have widespread coronavirus outbreaks, I still maintain the prudent course of action would be just a short pause while we get this extra information. But I completely accept others can come to a different view on the risk and benefits of these different decisions.
Yeah, it seems to me that obviously it's a worthwhile debate. We should be able to debate all these issues publicly, where some people seem to think, no, you can't even discuss this, you're an anti-vaxxer. It is nonsensical because the point in Europe and North America, of course, is they're dealing with a very severe crisis. They're coming out of a long winter, so they're still facing that crisis. In Australia, as you point out, we've got next to zero coronavirus in the country, next to zero community transmission. We're still in the hotter months, still coming out of our summer. We don't have much to lose by hitting pause. In fact, I'm shocked in this country how sort of eager people are to desperately get this vaccine rollout to the whole country. I mean, the vulnerable, sure, we want to get to them quickly, but the rest of us ought to relax, oughtn't we?
Well, I think there's common sense among the public there, and you're absolutely right with that approach. That's how we approached it at the start of this year. We took a couple of months extra than many developed countries to start our vaccination program because there wasn't the same risk in our country as those other countries, and therefore we had the opportunity to do a more lengthy approval process, albeit still a relatively quick one for a vaccine of this kind. But I think the common sense of the Australian people, if you believe the polls that have been done this last 24 hours, show the point that you're exactly saying, that there's nothing particularly radical with saying, well, look, maybe we'll just wait a little bit and see where the evidence goes here. Everybody's got to make that assessment. I can understand others, as you say, in vulnerable categories wanting to come to a different conclusion. And I very much hope that the evidence comes back positive in Europe and through the FDA process in the United States. And we'll restore full confidence in the vaccine rollout in this country.
Yeah, we're very lucky to be in a position where we can choose to wait for those results if we so choose. Now, one country that, of course, is having great difficulties with COVID now is our neighbour Papua New Guinea. The Queensland government and federal government working together on that, which has produced one of the most stunning things of the past year, and that is Anastasia Palaszczuk saying something positive about the federal government. Have a look.
We had a very good discussion, but I'm not going to go into any further details until I get an update later on today. But I can say that both the state and the federal government are treating the issues of infections in Papua New Guinea very seriously, and I just want to reassure the Queensland public that I said yesterday that I would speak with the Prime Minister, and I did that.
All right, and she went on to say that she was very, very happy with what the Prime Minister had done. Now, Matt Canavan, how serious is this situation, and should we be making Papua New Guinea a really high priority?
Absolutely, we should, and the Prime Minister and what appears the Queensland government here are doing the right thing. When your neighbour's property's on fire, you give them water. We've got every incentive here to help out, because if the outbreak gets really bad, well, there are Australian people within kilometres of Papua New Guinea territory there in the Torres Strait. Those people are, of course, also an Indigenous population that may have some vulnerabilities to an outbreak. So we really do need to try and protect that and help Papua New Guinea get this outbreak under control. And again, the calculation is different there. I think that it would be right for them to continue or ramp up a vaccine rollout right now in PNG because they're facing that imminent risk. and maybe you come down a different conclusion on the risks. And we need to have a mature discussion about this, about the different risks. That's one thing I think has been lacking for the whole year, whether it's around lockdowns or early therapeutic treatments, and now around the vaccine. There seems to be this rush to have a very binary position. You're either in favour of something or you're not. It's black and white, and it's actually not like that in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the growing trends in our political debate. Liam Bartlett made a really good point in an earlier interview also that, of course, we want to bring Papua New Guinea closer to us diplomatically and socially, and we ought to. We have a responsibility there. It was a former colony of our country, for crying out loud, and we don't want China sidling up to the Pacific as they have been doing, especially in PNG. And so we ought to be doing everything we can to come to their aid for those reasons, those selfish reasons, as well as the altruistic aims of helping our neighbours there. Just finally, I know we've talked about all this uphill and down dale, but it is astonishing that we've got a former Nationals Party leader looking to come back into federal parliament through the Senate, and another former minister looking to, and deputy leader, I think, trying to come back in Fiona Nash and John Anderson. Do you welcome that, or do you think it's time for new blood in the Nationals?
Look, I think that's great that we've got candidates of that calibre putting their hand up. They're two different cases. In Fiona's case, she may very well still have been here, if not for the quirks of our constitution and a long-lost Scottish dad of hers. That was a little unfortunate. And this is really her first opportunity to come back in. So, look, good on her. I don't know if she's made a final decision yet, but I'd welcome if she decides to put her hand up. And in the case of John Anderson, different case. He left here a long time ago, although again, in sudden circumstances. He had some health issues at the time. He left very young. So he's not old. He's only 65 or so years old. He's got plenty of contribution. I think John Howard was Prime Minister at that age of this country. And I really do think someone like John would be well suited here to the times. As we were just discussing, I think our political discourse has turned for the worse in the past few years. John is someone who's continuing to make a great contribution to our public policy and the intellectual discourse in this nation. And if he can elevate that through the Senate, I'm sure that would be fantastic for us all as well.
Thanks for joining us again, Matt. I appreciate it.
No worries, Chris. Have a good one, mate.